Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Holowitz, and in this tutorial about Excel 2013 we are going to talk about formulas. My experience has been this is an area where people maybe get a little nervous when it comes to Excel because they're not sure they know how to do a formula. So I'm going to show you a couple easy ways to remember how to do a formula. And one of the key words that I'm going to talk about in learning how to do a formula or remembering how to do a formula is to cheat. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I want you to cheat to do a formula. And let me illustrate how that's going to work. In a previous tutorial, we had looked at Tony's Place, a fictitious pizza place. And we had done a spreadsheet work through it. And one of the things I showed you how to do is how to add up numbers. I'm going to click in this cell right here below the 276, and I want to add up all these numbers. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to come up here to where it says auto sum, and I'm going to click on that once. When I click on it, what it does is it throws dancing ants around all these numbers. I'm going to hit the enter key or hit the auto sum a second time, and what it does is it adds up all those cells. Now, when I come down here and look at this cell right here, and I'm going to zoom in so we can really see this. When I come down and look at this cell, it appears that what is actually in that cell, poor zoomer, I apologize for that. There we go, right there. There we go. There's the 1931. When we look at that, there appears to be 1931 in that cell. But the reality is this. That's not what is in that cell. Hiding behind this number is a formula, and right up here in the formula bar right here shows me the formula. I want you to note that the formula starts with an equal sign, and then it has the word sum, and then in parentheses it has cells E5 colon E12. So again, this amount is equal the sum of E5 through E12. So again, I'm going to click on here. There's my formula. So the whole idea of cheating is what I'm going to show you next, because typically what happens with a lot of people that use Excel is they will start using Microsoft Excel. They'll have to do a formula. Maybe they haven't done a formula in a while. They don't remember how to do it. They don't know if they can do it by hand, by typing it out, or if there are other ways to do it. So I'm going to show you how to cheat to remember. Let me take you down to sheet 2. And I have some information here. The information is this. What formulas really come down to, for the most part, for the average Excel user, is simple high school math. So when you're working with high school math, if you were good at high school math, you'll be fine with formulas for the most fundamental things. Having said that, as I mentioned, all formulas start with an equal sign. In those formulas, we can have a plus sign, a minus sign. This is multiplication, an asterisk. Division or dividing is a forward slash, and a percent is a percentage. So the way you're going to remember, let's say you come back to Excel 6 months after you last used it and you got to do a quick formula. This is what you're going to do. You're simply going to add two numbers together using the auto sum function. And let me show you how we'll do that. Click on any cell and put a number in it. I don't care what that number is. Put another, hit enter, and in the next cell type in another number. Now, you and I, when we add these together, we know the total is 723. That's easy. We can add that together in our head. But if we needed to create a formula because it wasn't that clear cut, all we have to do is click in the cell below the last number, go up and click on auto sum, click on auto sum a second time, and it added it together. So now, with your pointer and clicking on this cell, go up here and observe what the formula is. It's equal the sum of L3 right here and L4. So it's adding those two together. It's summing them together. Now let me undo this for a minute and show you something else. If you want to do something a little more complex, up here where it says auto sum, if I click on the drop down to the right of it, let's say we don't want the sum of those two numbers, but we want the average. Well, if we click on average and then click on it again, or hit enter on the keyboard, you're going to see it's going to take those two numbers and give you the average. When I click on that cell and then come up and observe the formula, the only thing that's changed is they've taken out the word sum and put in the word average. Let me undo this again so we can go do another one. Let's say instead of average, we want to know the max or the min. Those are not that interesting, so I'm not even going to bother that. But if you come down further and click on more functions, what you're going to see is there are all kinds of formulas that come built into Excel. Now keep in mind, you're probably not going to know what these formulas are. I don't know what these formulas are. I am not a mathematician, statistician. I don't know. But I do want to point out to you that there's such a wide range of different types of formulas. It can be fascinating to a lot of people. I'm not a mathematician. This doesn't do a lot for me. But having said that, through this training, I will expose you to some of the different formulas and things you can do with Excel. Some of it will be this stuff. So if I click on all, it shows me all the formulas. Now don't ask me what they do, but as you click on each type, it tells you what it does. Returns the inverse hyperbolic cosine of a number. And I'm not even sure I pronounced that right, but that's what it does. I'm going to click cancel and come back here and just go back to the fundamentals. I'm going to click on AutoSum. Notice that it puts the formula in. I'm going to hit enter on the keyboard, and there is my total and my formula in the formula bar. So when it comes to working with formulas, if you can't remember how to do it, simply add two numbers together. One more thing I want to do, you can also edit a formula. So for example, let's say you're a salesperson and your commission is 10%, or let's say 11%. I don't want to have any zeros in the number just to illustrate this. Let's say it's 11% of this amount. Well, if I come up here in this formula, and this is where we get to high school math, if I put in an asterisk, which is for multiplication, and then put in 0.11, now what I'm doing is I'm saying, listen, I want to take the sum of those two cells and multiply it times 11%, or 0.11, so I know what my commission is. I'm going to hit enter, and now I know my commission on that amount is $79.53. Let's say I didn't want to find out what my commission or multiply, but I want to divide. I'm going to put a forward slash in there. And now when I put in a forward slash and hit enter, now if I divide that number by 0.11, that's what the result is. Let's take it a step further. Let's say I don't want to do that. I want to put a minus, hit enter. There we go. So once you know how to do a fundamental simple formula, and you again add two numbers together with the AutoSum, and then come up and mess around with it up here in the formula bar, I think you'll find that formulas are not as intimidating as you think they might be. Recognize that with a lot of software you will forget how to do things, but this video is always going to be here so you can come back and look at it. If you're not sure, Google it. If you're not sure, call me and I'll try to point you in the right direction. But they're going to be here. And again, it's not as hard as you might think it is. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Holowitz. I hope you got something out of this video on formulas, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.